Everyone. We are live. Hi, Alexis. How are you today?
Hello, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm really excited about this chat tonight, as this is a fun one for us. We have been really excited. We've been excited to talk about this for some time, but now we actually remember to visit this topic. And so
Hmm.
tonight's topic is going to be portals and dreams. We'll talk about the different types of portals you can encounter. We'll define what a portal actually means. We'll chat a bit about how we say engage with these or encounter how we feel when we encounter these portals in the waking life versus the dream life. And we'll of course share how they show up in dreams and dreams that pertain to the portal experience in that realm. And so before we get into the discussion, I just want to share that on my website, uraniauniverse.com, I do have a forum that actually has a category for dreams in the astral realm, which means that that is a space where you can share your dreams. You can share like any type of astral experience, whether it's an interesting meditation that you had, or maybe you have questions about a dream that you've had or meditation. Maybe you have had experience like in the in between, say if like you weren't dreaming but you weren't awake yet. Maybe you have experience with sleep paralysis and you want to discuss it, as I'm someone who has had sleep paralysis, so I can definitely give you some feedback of my experience and what I've come across in my research. So this dream forum is private to my community, so you would have to join as a member, but the membership is free. We just want to avoid AI, or I guess I should say bots, and just spammers, right? And so, yeah, if you have any questions about that, message me on my website, comment on any of these live stream videos, and I will be happy to answer those questions. So, welcome, live viewers. Jim's here. Jim says, howdy. That's the Western way of saying hello. Yes, as I've lived in Colorado for some time, I definitely get that vibe. And Jace says, good evening, ladies. Hey, Jace. Hey, Jem. Thanks for being here. If there's
Hello,
anyone
thanks for being
new
here.
watching, definitely introduce yourself, say hello, where you're tuning in from, and ask any questions, share your perspective, share your dreams, whatever you can fit in the chat box. We would love to hear that. So, Alexis, you can see the chat right now, right? You have it all set up on your end. Do you have it?
I have
Did you
it, but
figure
it's
that out?
not showing any chat.
It didn't come up yet?
No, that's okay.
We'll figure that out for next time. But yeah, we're gonna
Yeah, and
have
it's no
Lex
problem. I'm good with not.
checking in on the chat too, and maybe the next live stream. So that'll be awesome. All right, so portals and dreams. As always, I like to begin most of these chats, or when we have like a specific topic that may seem, I guess, maybe ambiguous, or I just like to define things. So we're all on the same page. And I would love to hear your perspective, your definition of, portals and what that might mean for you. So we can just see the different perspectives that surround this particular topic. So when I went to check in, research, learn, I guess, the standard definition for portal, what dictionary.com gave me is a doorway, a gate, an entrance, especially grand or an imposing one. And that was it. And I was like, I feel like there's something missing. And I kept scrolling through the different definitions like Webster and all of that. And so then I had to specifically put in portals and dreams, or no, portals spiritual definition. And then that
Yeah.
that resonated, which is funny because it's like you see the cutoff, right? Where with the spiritual definition, they also said doorway or gate, or simply a divider between this world and another world dimension or universal plane of existence, right? And
I like that.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, that made so much sense. I'm like, yes, that's it. So
Hmm.
it's it's the threshold, it's the in between, right? It's crossing, it's like the boundary essentially. And so some
Hmm.
examples of portals that were presented on this particular article is that they can be doors, they can be stairs, gates, pools of water, mirrors, bridges, etc. There's so many things. Oh, windows is another one that I didn't actually note. So I'm curious of you all's perspective on this definition, and I would love to hear, just which of these portals, stand out to you. Is there one that you feel connected to specifically? And, Alexis and I will share our experiences and our perspective. So what's your perspective on the definition? I mean, this is like, I guess, straightforward, but what are
I
your
mean,
thoughts on that?
I liked the second one that you gave. Really like that multi-dimensional, like different. You like it doesn't feel. If you look up the definition in dictionary.com for portals, it kind of feels limiting. Like it doesn't feel
Right.
as
Yeah.
monumental as it actually feels when you're experiencing it in your dream. So I definitely prefer that. It does feel like just a completely different realm. It doesn't just
Hmm.
feel like a door or a gate or a mirror. It is
Yeah.
opening up to a whole other world.
Yeah.
And
And they didn't, oh, I'm sorry.
no, continue.
I was just gonna say they didn't even give they didn't give mirrors or anything like that. The standard definition kind of gave just a door or a gate or an entrance, right?
Yeah,
So it definitely felt very restricted, so to speak.
yeah, absolutely. And like with that too, I brought this up, but I have portals show up in really weird spaces. Like the last dream I shared, there were portals through the fireplace, and then there were
Hmm.
portals through the halls. Like it was like almost like a
Yeah.
um like the hallways were like portals to the void and the
Yeah.
unknown. So there's so many different like deeper ways to define portals than what, dictionary.com
Oh, that's
has.
interesting.
Um, it's just a wider, more magical experience.
Yeah, Jay says that portals can be anything that transitions from one place to another. There usually is a threshold of some kind. And he says he also knows someone who sees computer screens as one. The basic of it is the basics of it is a transitional space, essentially. Yes. I like that, a
Yeah, that's
transitional
really
space.
cool.
So that like really opens it up to so many options. And I definitely have had my own experiences of staring at my phone or even the
Hmm.
TV, and I will enter this trance like state, and I
Yeah.
will see through the TV. Like I'm not really looking at anything, but in my mind, this is like the astral
Hmm.
travel that happens where you're just like
You're
somewhere else
gone.
consciously and you're just gone, right? So one of
Hmm.
the questions I do want to present is our waking life experiences with these particular portals, like these examples of portals. So, what, Alexis, what are your waking life experiences with, say, doors, mirrors, bridges? Like, what do you feel, I guess, most connected to? Um, and then you can also just give it other examples of, your encounters in waking life. And we're gonna reflect that with our dreams.
Okay. Yeah, I think in um the waking life, water and mirrors are probably the strongest. And it's not necessarily the type of portal that I would experience in my dreams, but it's more along the lines of like reflection, a portal into my own self.
Mm-hmm.
And that is extremely powerful in its own way. But even walking through like different, thresholds, doors, looking out certain windows, you just get different energies depending on where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but definitely I would say my two most connected, I would say, are mirrors and water.
Yeah. Mine are, I definitely feel very connected to mirrors. You and I have we've
Hmm.
have gotten so inspired and excited just through sharing our connections with mirrors, like in dreams. And I actually haven't had a lot of experience with mirrors in my dreams, and I'll share on that too later in this discussion. But for me, one of the things Alexis and I was sharing with Alexis is that what's really interesting to me is just the nature of the doors, like the doorways and the thresholds of doors. And so
Hmm.
many people experience this, but you are in one room, and this literally happened yesterday. I was in the living room, I was about to go on a walk, and I needed to get something from this office. So I walked from the living room into this room. As soon as I crossed this threshold of the room, the doorway, I completely forgot about what I came in here for. And I think I started doing something else. I picked
Yeah.
up something. Then I went back in the living room. And as I'm getting ready to get my stuff, and I was like, oh, I was going to get my hair clipped. I was in the office. So I went back in the office and got it. But it's just so, and that used to happen to me all the time when I worked in
Oh,
restaurants.
absolutely. That happens to me
Like I would,
all the
yeah, I would
time.
walk in the pantry or the walk-in, and I'm going there with the purpose. And as soon as I cross it, there's like this like clearing of energy within my mind. And so that was really interesting to me. Like there's like an energetic clearing when you cross from one space to another, or you can simply just enter, a different state of mind, or awareness of consciousness in waking life, and of course in your dream space too.
Hmm.
So I thought that
Absolutely.
was pretty interesting. And I guess my special connection, or a specific portal that I feel really connected to, I guess is doorways,
Hmm.
definitely mirrors in waking life. I haven't really had experiences with mirrors and dreams. I was going through my dream journals, which thankfully there hasn't been many, because I just have started doing this dream work intentionally. So my other dreams are spread out all over the place amongst my journals. So yeah, going through my dream journal, I only had two dreams within the past like year and a half that where mirrors popped up. And one was specifically, I was at some like grand venue or something, and I remember my grandmother was there. She had to go to the restroom, and I went into the restroom, and I went to the sink, and the sink was like cemented, like it hadn't been fully like carved out of the wall. Like it was really weird, even though it was out of the wall, but it was still connected in some way where someone
Hmm.
needed to chisel it out or whatever. And I just remember the mirror being there, and I looked in it. I don't remember what I saw. And that was pretty much it. Like I knew it was something weird though, because I didn't really remember what happened when I woke up. But you know how you have that feeling of that I saw something. So
Yeah.
that was something that kind of came through with the mirror for me. And I have to search for the other dream with the mirror, but that one was pretty like profound, just the feeling of it. And then I just went on about my business.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a very interesting experience because I also like, I don't have a whole lot of mirrors I'm really connected to in my waking life, but in my dream life, like they don't show up as much as I think that I would have. I feel like with how connected I am, I would have more dreams in regards to that. But most of my portals in my dreams are doorways, fireplaces, windows, just out of nowhere. Like they'll just kind of pop up. The floor, the ceiling, like it can. There's a lot of different portals are one of my dream signs. So definitely have had quite a few of them. Um,
Nice.
but the most recent one I had was in a well, I'll get to that.
All right. Well,
I'll
really
stop
quickly, I'm
myself
going,
before that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We're gonna get to the dream share
Yeah.
here in a little
I'm
bit.
not gonna, yeah.
So there is a website that I just randomly came across, and I really like the author's breakdown of this very topic. And I will hopefully I remember. If you don't see it in the description, just comment what's the link for this article if you're interested. But her website is called Inside My Dream, and this particular article is Portal Dream, meaning uncovering the secrets of dream portals. But she goes into like really good depth on this page, on this article. So her definitions of portal dreams are dreams in which the dreamer encounters a portal or a doorway that leads to another physical or non-physical realm or dimension.
Hmm.
Portals can manifest in different ways in dreams. For example, it could be a door with a special symbol or a stairway that descends or ascends into another world. It could also be a mirror that reflects a different reality. In some cases, portals can be the focus of the dream, while in others, they could be a minor aspect of a larger dream narrative. And so, some symbolisms, or she says, there's a question, why do we dream about portals? We have, the symbolism, the exploration, and the subconscious. And I mean, you guys can go to, I don't want to like read the whole whole page, but if you're curious about that. But what I do want to point out are the different types of portals, right? So we have the doorway portals, which these are the most common type of dream portal. Doorway portals can represent entering a new phase of life or opportunity, or even the possibility of leaving something behind.
Hmm.
Mirror portals. Mirrors are often used as portals in dreams. These portals can represent self-reflection and the explorations of one's inner thoughts and emotions. I love that.
Me too.
And window portals. Windows in dreams can also serve as portals to new experiences or opportunities. These portals can represent the potential to see things in a new light. Stairway portals. Stairways can be seen as portals representing the journey towards growth and progress in life. And then portal in the sky, which that sounds like literally a dream. I love that.
Hmm.
Um, portals in the sky can represent the gateway to spiritual or higher states of consciousness. And then we, of course, have, the water element and seeing the pools of water. And I know, Alexis, you and Jace have shared dreams about seeing pools of black water and there
Yeah.
being a point of some sort of portal or travel. And I feel that same kind of energy with her definitions of portal in the sky. So some sort of, even if the purpose of the dream is not to, you know, bring you to a higher state of consciousness, or maybe it is more subtly, there's always kind of like this shift to another realm that's like otherworldly, right? Because
Hmm.
I've had dreams with portals, with doorways, and it was just like it was kind of like a labyrinth. Like I was in a mall, and every time I went through a door, I was in another part of the mall, and it was like I
Yeah.
couldn't get out of the mall. And
Hmm.
so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's absolutely, I've experienced similar things where it there are portals that transport me just to different areas of a building I'm in and not necessarily allowing me or myself allowing myself to leave. I've definitely had that before.
Yeah. So I would also say that for me personally, doors, from just what when I revisited my dream journals, doors are definitely the most prominent uh portal in my dreams. And then there was also one dream, because I don't have a specific dream to share. I just have like the moments of portals.
Hmm.
And I don't think I have teleported in a dream yet, at least from what I can remember. But there are two instances I'll share. So there was one dream I had in which my daughter's father, his friend, had visited me. She passed away. Um, it'll be 2 years in August, and she died really young. I think she was like in her late 20s. But she will visit me in dreams every so often, and it's like usually a message for him. So she visited me in this dream, and she was a hooper. She did like hoop dancing and stuff. And we have one of her hoops here, and it's like a giant, it's like a big one. And she like decorated herself, like she wrapped it with all these different fabrics, and it's so beautiful. And it actually hangs like above our TV. I don't know, it creates this like 3D type of experience in the living room. But
It
it
sounds
showed up,
beautiful.
yeah, it showed up in the dream, and it was actually on the floor. And I remember, like in the dream, I said, or when I wrote the dream, I recall that it was either the hoop, like I had a feeling there was a connection to it. It was either a hoop or like it was a circle, I think is what it started out like a circle on the floor of the ground. Then I was like, maybe it was her hoop, or it also kind of gave me this vibe of dream catchers, with which my daughter's father like makes dream catchers. And so, but it was really interesting. And I knew, like, I just saw it and observed it. And I knew, I wrote down that, oh, it felt like this was like a portal of some sort. And this is like how she comes through and visits us. So that was one instance of, you know, a portal, like some sort of object, but the dream wasn't about the object, and I never went through it. The second one was really interesting. I was in this house, and in the dream, and someone was like knocking on the door, or I knew someone was at the door, and we kept having people come to the door. Something was going on. And I think this is the only time I actually opened the door. So I opened the front door, and when I opened the door, it was like this spaceship. So when I opened the door, I was like in this, like, I was basically in space, like from my house. I was looking into space,
Wow.
and there was this like weird, I was watching The Mandalorian at that time. So there was like this weird who was it? It wasn't, the guy wasn't from Mandalorian, but he was from this other old movie that I watched recently. And I think I told this story on here, or the stream on here before, but basically he was wanting me to get into the spaceship, and he was like, I'm sorry, I had this like message for you. I've been traveling so far. It's taken me a long time to get this message for you. And I was in a phase of my dream cycle when I just started doing the dream work intentionally, where I did not want to receive, like I shut it down because I thought it was going to be a bad message or something. So I
Hmm.
totally like shut them down and woke myself up, which I tend to do when I don't want to deal with something, I guess, avoidance. But yeah, so that was my other example of like having opened the door to like some other, like in that case, space, and this opportunity to hear a message and travel. So, which,
That's so that's so interesting. So right off the bat, like your first dream, it almost seemed like your friend or your daughter's father's friend was almost like showing you a way through, like
mm-hmm.
presenting this portal to you as a way to deepen your understanding of yourself, like go deeper into the different realms
Yeah.
that, you know, lay in your dream space. And I the shutting down the message in the second one is so it's so funny because it's like not right now, thanks though, bye.
Right. Well, I was so first when I woke up, I was like, whoa, what was that? And then I was so mad because it was almost like my unconscious programming was still working as if it was real life. And I don't like, for
Yeah,
me, even I don't even answer the door. Someone, if I'm not expecting someone, like, no, leave a
yeah,
message. Like, you have to catch me in the right moments. So that was pretty
yeah.
accurate. And I just like was not open to receiving. And so when I woke up, I was like, what was the message? I was like, Spirit, I was like, please send me the message again. Like, I want to know. I don't think I didn't ever have like a moment where I was like, that was it. So, I
You
mean,
may
maybe
have
I received
received the
it.
message, it just
Yeah, no,
wasn't
yeah,
it wasn't related enough to that
yeah.
experience that you may not have picked up that it was connected.
So, I'm just gonna check in with the comments here. Some Jace says also know someone who has pedestrian bridge too in a dream. Okay. Jim says, I'm like a bull in a portal shop. I'm sure I've staggered, driven, stumbled, fallen, bounced through my many without any previous awareness. That's funny. It seems to me mirrors in particular can be powerful and possibly irreversible to alternate universe. Use with caution. Jay
Hmm.
says, yeah, mirrors seem to be chaotic in dreams. Okay, so I'll stop there because the other one, oh no, okay, I guess it's connected. Then Jim says, pools of water certainly can be mirror like, so also powerful, powerful. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes,
Yep.
yes. Yeah, so
Yep.
definitely with mirrors, what, and you know, she provided a breakdown of what mirrors can represent, which I love that.
Yeah,
I
I do
didn't
too.
even consider it that way of like, you know, seeing into your own self, because I've never had an experience with mirrors. I know that I've heard from other people that looking in mirrors can, like, you can have like a weird experience with that.
Hmm.
And I know my other instance when I did come across a mirror in my dream, I like it again, it was like it was there, but it I didn't really linger. Like it was kind of like I see you and so I didn't really like
Yeah.
look in time with it. So thinking about her definition of that, I, maybe that set could say something about just some aspects of myself I'm not ready to see, like possibly in the dream space.
Oh yeah. I mean, and you have so
Don't make
many
sense.
doors and whatnot that open into yourself that
Yeah.
it's just like you're constantly pulling the layers down and pulling the layers down and going deeper and deeper and deeper. And there's just some stuff you're not going to be able to tackle until a later point. Like I've had my experiences with that and still do. Um, I would say like the last mirror dream I had was very brief. I was looking down at a bowl of black water and I was seeing my reflection. And then all of a sudden I had a dream, but it felt like I was watching a movie on fast forward and then I woke up. And that
Wow.
was that like and to me that could be a way of avoiding the message because
Yeah.
my brain like hyper accelerated what was going on so I wasn't able to grasp onto anything.
Yeah. And so Jay says that I woke myself up seeing myself as something other than myself in a dream mirror. Yeah, I think you shared that with us when you were on about how you looked in the mirror and you saw yourself as a dragon. And
Yeah,
then I
yeah,
think you woke up.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's really
remember that.
cool.
I've never not seen my own self in the mirror in my dream. Even when I'm dreaming and I'm looking in the mirror, if it isn't a clear visual, it's like myself but blurred or myself but kind of like if the mirror is broken like in different ways or like distorted in some way, but it's always my own reflection.
Interesting. Watch you and I have mirror dreams tonight. I would love
I
that,
would love that.
actually. I'm like, I want to see a mirror.
I
Like
want
maybe I
it. I
might like
want it.
meditate on that.
I was
But
thinking
yeah,
about it. I was thinking about that.
yeah, I definitely, and it's interesting because you and I both connect with mirrors so directly, like
Yeah,
in waking life, that I would, assume that that would present itself in the dream realm. Because literally today, oh my gosh, I had the best, and this might be kind of off topic, but I have to share. I had the best mirror experience with like gazing into the obsidian mirror. I
hmm
was like, I went into a meditative state. So I was like listening to some high frequency music with my eyes closed. So I was like dropping myself in. I had my candles ready to candle gaze, but it wasn't the vibe, I guess. And so
yeah.
I spent like 10 minutes. The music I think is probably like 18 minutes. So I spent like 10 minutes listening and just like feeling it and trying to clear and just go off somewhere. And after the 10 minutes, I opened my eyes and I started looking into the mirror. And the way I have the mirror set up, it just so happened. I mean, that's where I put on my altar, but seeing the reflection, like I can see half of it is me. And then the other half on the mirror is like my backyard, which I have 20, like I
Mm.
think 19 maple trees. And
Oh,
so it's been so windy and I could see the tree, the like leaves are like blowing, the wind was blowing in
mm,
the tree was blowing in the wind, the branches. And I'm looking in the mirror and just staring at it. And like you're like when you're at that point, you're kind of hazy. And again, it's like looking through it. And then I started to see this like face forming in the leaves. Like it was like a lion's face that would transform into like an old man, and it was like some part of it was like blowing like this, but I would see the
I
face
love
like and
that.
like come up, and I was like,
That
whoa, oh
sounds
my
so
gosh. And I was
crazy.
wanting to receive a message, but then I got interrupted, so then it was like done.
Maybe that was
But
the message.
right, maybe it was, but definitely yeah. And so I just feel with like the mirrors, the element of I definitely see the element and the power of reflection and just the different ways that we can engage even with mirrors. I know mirrors is like it's a big thing in waking life too. Like some people
Yeah.
don't like looking in mirrors.
No.
Jace, like our conversations about mirrors, I ended up leading me to covering the mirror when I sleep. And because literally my mirror is about as like big as the from like the wall to the ceiling to the floor. It's pretty big.
And it's
And
right there,
my like it's right there on me. Like my whole
right
body
there.
is like literally in the mirror basically,
Yep.
that part of the bed. And I wanted to experiment to see how it's been since I covered it. And I would say I've been resting peacefully, but there's also, I noticed a couple of days ago when I was thinking about the New Earth dream that I had,
Hmm.
where I was like in the jungle, so to speak, or the rainforest.
Yeah.
And there's something about the mirror, like in the morning, because right across from the mirror is also the window. And I
Oh,
have like trees
yes.
on that side. I have like a walnut tree, and there are like a bunch of like birds that like live over there. So it's like, and that's where the sun comes in. So the
Hmm.
sun definitely does like some interesting things happen in the morning around like dawning, right? And I've
Oh, for
noticed how it
sure.
affects my dream. So I feel myself longing for that. So we'll see what happens when I go back to like not having the sheet on there. But it's just an interesting way to see how even like these things can affect our dream space. Like even how you
Yeah.
have your bed, the placement of your bed when it comes to like particular thresholds or doorways.
Hmm.
I've definitely had some interesting experiences with that.
I would really love to experience having a mirror on the ceiling above my bed. Like laying in bed, waking up and looking at myself directly. Like there's
Yeah.
something about that that is so appealing and interesting and mysterious. And like, I don't know, it seems like such a cool, it just
Yeah.
seems so cool.
Well, it was interesting when I first had it, like when we first put the mirror there, I was so, I could barely sleep. Like I definitely felt the energy and I think I adapted to it or something. Um,
Probably. You get used to it.
yeah. Yeah, and I got used to it. But I definitely feel the shift. Like it feels, yeah, I feel like it's closed. I definitely feel like it's closed.
So are you
Um,
going to leave the sheet on for like another week or two and take it off and kind of experiment and see how your
yeah,
sleep?
yeah. I'm not
Okay.
sure when I'll take it off, but I'll definitely take it off again to see the difference because then I'll really know
Yeah.
what the shift is. But a part of me is all, I feel kind of weird taking it off now because it's been a couple weeks. So I don't know. I get
Yeah.
weird. Like when I get into patterns and routines,
Hmm.
it's hard to break them sometimes, you know?
I understand that. Yeah. I have my mirror I can see from my bed and is big, but it's not directly in front of my bed. So it's what I'm seeing is not a reflection of myself in the bed. What I'm seeing is like the side of my room in the mirror.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, I don't have any, I'm not feeling anything too intensely negative where I
Yeah.
feel like I should do that. But if I do notice anything, I would definitely experience with that. This experiment, this mirror here,
Hmm.
that actually reflects what's outside the window here. And when the sun is rising or setting, the effect that it has, like, because there's other shiny things in my room or in this room.
Yeah.
So the sun will like shine against that mirror and then shine against something else and it creates like the coolest. I don't remember what it's called, but it's very interesting the way it
Yeah.
reflections are so interesting.
Yeah. We'll have to like, we're definitely gonna have a separate discussion
Yes, a
around
deep
mirrors in
dive.
general. Maybe we can both induce a mirror dream and then we'll have a chat
Ooh,
about it. So that'll be
yes.
cool. One thing I do want to add to, because this is like an interesting transition of the conversation, definitely organic. But
Hmm.
I want to talk about also just the placement of your bed in
Hmm.
proximity or um, in relation to the door to your bedroom. So
Okay.
anyone in the chat, Jim, Jace, or anyone else watching, definitely let us know if you have any experience, like what your perspective or experience is with this. But I've noticed, and I was living in a spiritually active house, and it also had a lot of energy. I don't really have much energy in this house except what's invited. And then I definitely
Hmm.
know when something's here that's not. So at this house though, I would change my bed. I like to change my bedroom around often.
Hmm.
And so I had changed my bed and I knew it was bad feng shui, but I didn't care. And if I'm the bed, basically I was like parallel to the doorway. So the door, if I'm the door, the bed was here. And so
Hmm.
my head was leaning and I'm looking like as I'm sleeping, my head is facing the doorway, which the thing is though, it's a very small hallway. And so where I'm facing, it's facing through the door. And then on the other side, like at the end of that wall, or the end of the hallway is the stairs. Right. And so it was like terrible feng shui.
I
But
mean,
I don't know.
that
I had
just
my
to me is so like kind of scary because I always had there was a large portion of time where I had my bed parallel to the door where I could just see out in the hallway. And I would have the scariest visuals come into my
yeah,
head because if like if this is the hallway, around the corner to the hallway was the stairs. So it was a corner, and I always could like feel this energy coming around the corner, and my brain would just do stupid things to counter that. And I like think about that now because now my bed is diagonal to the door.
yeah,
So I can see
yeah,
where the doorway is, but I can't see around it, which is
yeah,
like
yeah,
perfect for me.
yeah, yeah. That was not a good setup. That was like that position. I had sleep paralysis a lot in that house. I had sleep paralysis a
Mm,
lot. That was when I had the two astral projection experiences or out of body
mm-hmm,
experiences, which that was cool. But it was interesting that well, no, one of the times, the time that I had it unintentionally, the bed was that way. Um, and most of the time I would sleep with the door closed, so it wasn't that bad. But if I like fell
mm-hmm.
asleep like napping or whatever, which is when I would have sleep paralysis anyways, like
Yeah.
it was like I could feel the energy. And in this house, my bed is what like perpendicular to the doorway. Like it's like the best possible feng shui position for this
Mm-hmm.
room, which is really good. Um, and my head faces east, and that's like pretty good too. But like from where I'm laying though, like you can see, like I can see from my position on bed or from the whole bed, you can see out the door. But for me specifically, I can see down the hallway too, to a certain extent, like
Mm-hmm.
pretty much to the office and like a little bit. So not only is there the door, but then there's like, or the mirror. So the mirror is like adjacent to the door.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like tend to still feel a lot of that activity. And I feel that is what, when I have these experiences of in the in between where I'm not dreaming or, I'm not awake.
Yeah.
And usually that's a time where things are like trying to get me and attack me and whatever, messing with me.
Yeah.
Like it's like weird because I always feel them and like sometimes see them with my mind's eye coming from the hallway.
Yeah.
So I could
Yeah.
feel, yeah. And it's just like, but that's the best setup I could do. So I tend to sleep with the door. I mean, I sleep with it cracked, which I'm like, is that worse than having it open? Like,
Do you ever smoke cleanse your doorway before you go to
yeah,
bed?
I do. I don't do
Does
it
it
regularly
help at
before
all?
bed. I do it. I should try doing it before I go to bed. I only do that when I'm doing a whole house cleansing. So I'll go through all the
Or
thresholds and like the windows.
put like together a bottle of like moon water and whatever inside and then
Hmm.
spray it before bed because I feel like
Yeah.
you can go. I feel like it's maybe the
Yeah.
same amount of effort. I thought about it like it might be less effort,
Well,
but
I have rose water too. That would be nice.
oh, that would
Chase
work.
also mentioned salt, like sprinkling salt, which I do when I do a
Oh
whole
yeah.
house cleansing, but he also mentioned doing it around my bed, which when I was having the in-between experiences, I did that and I felt helped. Something was in the house though. So I had to deal
Mm,
with that, but that helped for sure.
yeah.
Um yeah, so definitely pay attention to how these like thresholds just in your dream or bedroom space, like where you go to sleep. Definitely pay attention to that.
Absolutely. It can
Yeah, I
really
think
affect the
that's,
way that you sleep.
yeah, especially if you're sensitive to like mirrors and such. Like I know some people
Hmm.
don't, like children. Jace was saying like you might not want to put mirrors in their bedroom, especially because they're way more sensitive.
Yeah.
And so that might be something too if you're very sensitive to mirrors.
Doors
Um,
too. Like
doors.
when I was a kid, like I felt like actually up until this point, doors being closed are much more comfortable for me.
Yeah,
Like
same.
I don't like doors being open. I close them, whether it's cabinet
Specifically when you're
doors
sleeping.
or
Yeah.
closet
Yeah.
doors. Yeah, I like to have everything closed. There's something
Yeah.
that feels, I guess, safe about it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
someone can't, like something or someone can't just come in. They have to actually go through the door. And for me, it's just my brain just feels safer.
Yeah. No, I definitely. Yeah. And then I think some things to do too. This is so funny, the direction of this conversation, but as we're talking about like the moon water, the smoke cleanse, the salt, definitely also take note of your windows, right? Because
Oh yeah.
these are all different access points or points of transition, or you could say thresholds. So they kind of
Hmm.
represent the in between, even if it's in a dream or not. Because I do feel like one of the things with mirrors, they help you to see something that's not there. So usually we're not seeing our own
Hmm.
reflection. We look in the mirror, we see ourselves. One of the things I
Hmm.
used to do when I, because there was a short period that I was cleansing people's homes, and I would take
Ooh.
with me a mirror and I would use it to kind of just like, like looking through, just kind of like through the side of your eye,
Hmm.
and kind of just seeing, because sometimes you
Ugh.
can catch, yeah, yeah, sometimes you can
Ugh.
catch things. And that's how I like, scry into the mirrors. I have it kind of
Yeah.
like looking at it from the side and like looking kind of, yeah.
Behind you, yeah.
You end up
Oh,
learning how to like see in certain ways, but I've definitely seen, like, I wouldn't say full on figures, but definitely shadows. Like, because I'm not someone who sees like ghosts or things with my naked eye.
hmm.
But I can pick up on like like a shadow or some sort of shift. So um yeah, it's interesting that mirrors definitely allow us to see things that aren't unseen. And even with windows in the home, like most of our walls are like walls, and with the windows, those are the points that we can see through. And so
Hmm.
yeah, you can, put some sigils on your door, on your window. I did that too at that spiritual home. On our main door, we had Tara's mantra, and we had the Eye of Horus and everything, with our own protective sigils as well. So you can do
Yeah,
stuff
that's
like that.
nice.
But that's like the importance of really taking care of your dream space,
Absolutely.
like, because you'll see how, even if you're not directly experiencing portals, say through a pool of water or through, a mirror in your dream, those objects, those portals in your waking life definitely can have some sort of influence of your dream space or just your sleep in general.
Absolutely.
So that was amazing, organic
Oh yeah.
um segue. So I'm just going to check in with the chat because I know there's some interesting things here. So Jace is mentioning or responding, or I guess Jem asked Jace, how did it feel to be a dragon? And so Jace said, well, I didn't know, so it surprised me. Before I saw myself, I was okay until they started talking about subjects that didn't make sense. My logical
Mm.
mind. Yeah, and then when you saw yourself in the bathroom in the mirror, you felt sick, like you were going to be sick.
Ooh.
So then Jace went on to say, in the olden days, people would wake up and get freaked out by seeing themselves. That's funny. And we talked about the old mirrors where they have like one side, they can rotate it. So
Yeah,
one side is a mirror. Um, so let's see. Jay says my bed is in a corner away from the door, but I plan on switching it away from the door. Yeah.
that's how mine is.
Um,
It's like diagonal from the door in the corner.
yeah. Yeah, when
It's
we
like as
moved
far
here,
away from the door as possible.
yeah, when we moved here, it was the diagonal, like which is bad feng shui. We didn't even set it up. It was his mom set this house up that way, or the bedroom up that way. But it was the bed was at like the kitty corner to the door. So it's literally the whole bed was at like a direct angle to the door. Like you could shoot
I
out
ooh,
the door.
uh,
I was like,
I can't
no, thank
stand
you.
that. It takes up so much space. Like I like having it up either up against the
Yeah.
wall or close enough to the wall where you can fit like
Yeah, like an end
a
table or something.
yes, a bed stand, a night table.
Yeah. Jay says I plan on moving it near the door so I don't see the outside of the room. Yeah, that'll work.
Okay.
Jim says a big mirror across from the door so sleeping self has eye on doorway or unable to sleep comfortably. Wait, big mirror across from the door. Oh, so sleeping self has the eye on the doorway or unable to sleep comfortably. Oh, I see. Yeah, so
Hmm.
you're able to have your eye on the doorway. It's so interesting like that we all have these experiences with the doorways, in our
Oh
bed
yeah.
when we sleep. That's so interesting to me. I'm like really fascinated by this.
I am absolutely just as fascinated. There's something about again, it's like the portal, the threshold, the change from one space to the next. It just can be insane.
Yeah. Sorry, I was reading the comment from Jim.
No, that's
Jim
okay.
says,
What
I
did he
don't
say?
see spirits. I don't see spirits inside, generally speaking, but demons at the disco aplenty.
I'm sorry. Is there a disco somewhere? Because I would love to go to it. Discos are like disco music and like disco dance clubs are like a dream of mine. Like
Oh,
I
that's
love
funny to me.
disco. So if you know of a place to go and it's not just in your dreams, I would love to go.
Right. All
In the
right.
waking
So,
realm, I want to go to a disco.
yes, I would be down for that too, actually. I need a girls' night or just an outing, a
Yes.
dance night, dancing. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So I feel that we're good on portals and what the portals are, how they show up. So let's share a dream, or we're going to share two dreams. So I don't have a
Yep.
dream. I share some examples, but
Yep.
Jace gave us permission to share his dream that he shared on the forum a few days ago. So we'll share that. And then Alexis is going to share a dream.
Sure.
All right.
Perfect. Sounds good to me.
So this dream is titled A Journey. Um, Lost. I don't know if what does lost mean something, Jace. I just saw you, or maybe you were saying you were typing like last night or something. I don't know. But it starts with LAS, which I don't know if that pertains to dream. Anyways, I dreamt I was in a world that had magic and mythical beings in it. At first, I was on a ship, like I was in the Navy, and I was talking to someone about getting a higher rank until the captain of the ship asked me to come to her office. It seemed she wanted to talk to me, so I went there. Well, she actually wanted me secretly, but I laughed at that part. She like wanted me secretly, but didn't want anyone to know. I don't know why that was funny. Okay. So when we got into port, I left first and then she did later. So you never explained if you guys hooked up, but that's cool. I'm assuming no. Anyways, though we were together for a bit looking around in this town and suddenly she left and never came back. I started talking to the townspeople and they said she might have been taken by an evil lord. There was a pool of weird dark water that would teleport you places, but it could teleport you to the evil castle also randomly. So I went into it and I got teleported to the evil castle. There, I found a bunch of ghosts who were talking to the captain of the ship and telling her that she could stay if she wanted. I said I could stop the evil lord and take over his place and make my position be a nice lord. I went to go see the Lord and he looked like a regular guy. I guess he would get killed every night and it would make him mad. So he'd go evil because of that. I stopped the thing that would kill him and it broke his curse. He left the
Oh,
castle, but the thing that I stopped said now I had to be the Lord of the castle. I said I was going to be, but I make my own way. The thing faded out of existence and I went into town. People were scared because I went into the town thinking I would hurt them. I stopped at the shop and asked to get some weird drink that had some kind of golden berries in it. The shopkeeper was surprised I was talking to him and being cordial. I woke up after a bunch of townspeople came over to see if I was evil or not.
That was an interesting
Thoughts?
dream.
Yeah.
That immediately to me felt like you were breaking like generational issues or issues within yourself. Like you broke the
Mm-hmm.
cycle and
Yeah.
gained your power. It's like you gained power over yourself within that dream. That's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah,
Did you
I
sleep
think,
with her?
right? Let's see what he says. Okay. Um, it was last night. Every dream I start with last night's dream. Oh no, I never hooked up. It's a trap in dreams. I need to take your advice because
You knew
maybe
you
that's
were
why I
like,
thought
not
right. No, because I
today.
know he said that before. He's like, no, I don't because yeah, it's a trap. Like they're trying
That's
to
interesting.
sap you of your energy.
I don't
Um,
think my dreams like that have resulted in traps in that
yeah,
way.
yeah. I think
That's
he
another
does it
topic,
ever,
though.
does it? Yeah, we should, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think it counts though if you summon the person in and then
that's true. That's true.
so I'm curious. But yeah, so for the dream, it made me think of the whole entering into like a different dimension or reality because like I felt that you were already there. It definitely
Yeah,
felt like a fantasy type dream just as it started like in a world that had magic and mythical beings. Like so I remember when I read this, I was really excited the way that started. I was like, "Ooh, this is going to be kind of cool."
yeah.
And yeah, I'm happy that you went through the portal so that there was just like the portal wasn't really the center of the dream. It was just the transitional point. And then you ended up in this evil castle. So I really liked just having that example too.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
let's see, what did I write? I commented. Um, oh, okay, I guess I was getting a similar vibe as when I've heard Alexis mention it in her dreams. Oh yeah, because Alexis, you had a dream that you shared on here with the portals or
Hmm.
the dark pool of water.
Hmm.
But
Yep.
yeah, so I feel like, I mean, I don't know. I don't really have any, it just feels like mystical. It feels like, I don't know. It feels like even the connection of your connection with dragons, it feels similar to just this fantasy type experience of not your alter ego, but just an aspect of yourself, I guess. If
Hmm.
I'm making any sense.
I
It
also
feels,
feel
yeah,
like there's that other, the other type of portal, which is transportation in a dream. And I
yeah,
feel like that's what it was. Like you were already in this other world and then you transported to a different building in the distance. And that was like your like bus or car drive or well, like you
yeah,
it brought you from point A to point B. But I really for me that dream that stuck out was the seeing this Lord and knowing his evil underlying background, but taking the time to understand why he's like that, breaking the consistent killing of this person to help releasing them, and then gaining that power. To me, it just feels like you unlocked something in yourself. And I find
mhm,
that like very profound and strong, powerful.
yeah. And I feel too like when people are, questioning or asking, okay, what's the difference between like aren't all dreams like some form of like astral travel or all don't they all exist in that astral realm, which is like yes and no?
Mhm.
Or maybe it's not a yes or no, but this dream is a clear example of it feels very fantastical, like it has to be in another dimension or
Mhm.
another like reality of some sort. So I definitely enjoyed that. Also, the golden berries at the end was really interesting because Jace had already posted this dream on the forum before I had chatted with him. I chatted with him and I was showing him. I sent a picture of the tarot cards that I had pulled for the day, and it was the day I was doing the spring fair, and I got all the cards were pentacles, And I'm
Okay,
pretty
yeah.
sure out of the three cards, there were like the pentacles are actually like golden berries. Like it, like she literally had a plate of like
Ooh.
golden,
That's so
but they
interesting.
look
It's
like
like a
berries or
little
balls or
a little
fruits. Yeah.
connection,
Yeah.
like a
So
little
he was like, are
little
those, and I had
cord.
no idea about his dream. I hadn't read the dream. Like he didn't share, like he told me he posted a dream on there, but he didn't share what it was about.
Yeah.
I didn't see it till later, but yeah, he told me, he was like, whoa, that's crazy. Because I just had, golden berries at the end of the dream. And like, what the hell? Like, have you seen a golden berry? No.
So random.
It's like
So
some
random.
Willy Wonka type
Yeah,
situation. So that was really cool.
absolutely.
So Jay says, I have a lot of these dreams in places where they have things that aren't available here. Most of my dreams are saving someone. That's cool. That makes sense knowing your personality. So thank you for allowing us to share that.
Yes, thank you.
All right, Alexis, you want to share yours?
Yes. So I had this dream. Oh my gosh. I think it was the 25th. The 25th I had this dream. Okay. Last night I dreamt that there was some kind of event going on and the energy was completely off. There were old neighbors of mine there that were involved, particularly sisters. Um, my mom was there in the dream, but it was her essence. It was continuously changing from solid form to air.
Mm.
The dream location was revolving around a normal setting to ones of MC Escher, completely juxtaposed. The women were throwing some kind of party for their children, but there had been a fight over something that I wasn't aware of. They were yelling at each other as they walked in and out of different areas of this house into their vehicles, packing up both while carrying a child on their hips. The location was skipping back and forth, very distorted between the house and the cars. I had to help people get up basement stairs. Like this immediately went to like it was like I was in so many different places at once. So then
Mm-hmm.
I went back, I was back into the house. Like it wasn't like I was walking, it was like I was kind of like instantaneously transporting. So I was back in the
Mm-hmm.
house and I was walking up basement stairs and I was helping certain people up and through hallways as if it was a war zone. And the lights, as I got to the
Mm-hmm.
top of the stairs, the lights behind me were fairy lights wrapped in a circle. So like almost like a
Oh, yeah.
spiral behind me, and that was the only lighting, was a spiral of fairy lights that were kind of like a neutral to cool tone.
Mm-hmm.
It was musty and dry and dusty. And then um sorry, I lost my place. All right, so I immediately then jumped, or I should say instantaneously transported. The dream shifted to being inside a opera house, which I have had
Mm-hmm.
dreams like this before.
Yeah.
Not this wasn't set up like the last dream I had. It was different, but similar energy.
Mm-hmm.
So the seats were lined back for what felt like a mile and created an angle up. Um, the fighting continued in the background, like I was in two places at once. So even though I was physically in this theater,
Mm-hmm.
I could hear and experience everything with my mind's eye, like I was back in this house and outside the house.
Interesting. So
So the
you were
fighting
like in two
continued.
places at once,
Yeah,
essentially. Interesting.
the fighting continued in the background, like I was in two places at once. I walked down the middle of the aisle, seeing and feeling the essence of people seated and watching the stairs or stage. There was an underlying unnerving feeling as I looked around and back forward. People were there, but they weren't at the same time. So similar to how my mom's essence would go from solid form to like invisible or
Yeah.
air form
Oh,
or like
yeah.
spiritual form. This is how the whole theater was, and it was at different times. Like it was an odd experience with that. So I had that unnerving feeling of not really stabilizing. Like it didn't feel
Mm-hmm.
stable. The dream felt stable, but the people there who were drifting and coming back, it felt unstable.
Mm.
Um, the theater was dark and dimmed light, but the stage was bright. The stage contained a portal to an outside dimension. The tree branches and bushes and leaves and whatnot trailed onto the theater stage. So, where you would
Mm-hmm.
look at the stage where the curtains would be, the curtains were completely opened up, and that entire space was another dimension. It was another, like a completely different place that was located outside. And the trees were kind of coming in and wrapping up the walls, and like the when the wind blew, the leaves would come in through the stage, like through the portal onto the stage.
Oh, wow.
It was as I walked into the through the portal to this outside dimension, it was bright and warm and humid. It was wet out, but it felt like the what had came first was a light rain, and what was coming was a stronger storm.
Mm.
So the sky was gray and heavy with clouds, which made the green in the outside forest area really pop. Um, in the forest was a path and a clearing, and as I started walking through that, I noticed that there was garbage all over. Like you walked in, like from the outside, it was really beautiful, and when you walked
So
through
you
into this
walked
other
through
world,
this, did
as
you
you're
walk through the stage or where is this?
yeah, I
Okay.
walked up the stage and through the portal,
Oh, cool.
and this whole environment that seemed very lush and beautiful, it was still like that, but there was a lot of garbage everywhere. Like plastic bags around the trees, and like wrappers and just cups and shit like all over. It was like oddly dirty. Um, I kept walking forward, but before I could get to where I needed to be, um, so I walked forward, and then there was a angle, and I couldn't see past that angle. And as I was trying to walk towards that angle to go around the corner, it brought me back into the theater. Like I transported back into the theater. So it didn't allow me
Mm-hmm.
to go forward, or I didn't allow myself to go forward. I was back in the theater staring into the portal. I looked around and immediately held myself, feeling the cold, crisp air after being in that hot humidity. I walked back up the aisle, looking back and seeing faces come and go, people there and then gone in a trace. I walked to the top of the lavish auditorium and went through a hallway to find a maze of rooms and hallways, but no way out. I walked to a small window that was in the hallway and stood on my toe. Like it was a taller window than I could see just flat on my feet. So I was on my tippy toes looking outside, and
Mm-hmm.
I saw a rundown suburban area. It seemed empty. I turned around, walked up a ramp to a room where a man was making music. The whole room was glitchy, and I had no grasp of what was happening until I walked back out. It was just like other parts of the dream. It was juxtaposed, and the rooms were kind of like MC Escher. So like I was on the ceiling, on the floor, on the walls, like all at the same time.
Wow. That's crazy.
So I walked back out and talked to some people about how we need to figure out a way to leave. In that moment, the two people I was with, all three of us were instantaneously transported outside to this like suburban area. Um, I'm like confused, and I turn around and I look, noticing that the whole neighborhood is like really curvy and kind of like odd shaped, where it just didn't feel right. It felt, I don't know, if you almost got the feeling of getting dizzy and feeling sick from it.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't feel like sick, it's just the same type of energy. So I looked at the grayness of the sky and the houses, which it was very gray, but there was also this reddish hue that was pulsating through the sky. And it felt like very odd, and it felt completely empty. And then I woke up.
Wow. What was your feeling between like when you had went through the stage, like being on that side, like through that
Mm-hmm.
portal, like when you were in that space, versus like on the other side of the portal or the yeah.
So when I was in, sorry, the
That's
for some
okay.
reason the mic turned off. Um, so when I was in the theater, I felt really uncomfortable and unnerved, but very cold. And then when I went through the portal, it was hot and humid, but I felt it was a different flavor of uneasy.
Yeah.
I
So
don't
you
really know
didn't
how to
feel
just,
very grounded in either space. Like
I
you didn't
felt
feel good.
grounded. I felt grounded, but I didn't feel comfortable.
Mm.
Um,
Hmm.
like it was my environment that felt unstable in certain aspects of the environment, like the people mainly
Yeah.
felt unstable because they just kept appearing and disappearing and appearing and disappearing, like losing radio signal.
Mm-hmm.
But the theater experience and then through the portal experience were two different types of uneasy. Like
Yeah.
the theater, it felt uncomfortable and odd and kind of scary in a sense that I knew where I was, but the environment was, there was just something there.
Yeah.
Where the portal, when I went through the portal, it was more of like fear of the unknown, so more of like an
Yeah.
anxiety.
Yeah. That's what I was kind of getting. It felt like the whole dream felt in transition, like with just everything, just, yeah, things being different than what they were before. There's not, say if your normal is not through the screen of the or the portal on the stage, like maybe this is like where you usually exist here, but that's like all over the place and all over the place and in transition. And then on the other side, it's like you said, it's different, like a different kind of uncomfortable. But on the other side, it kind of did feel, just from hearing your sharing, it felt a little bit more stable,
Mm-hmm.
possibly. But it's
I agree.
interesting. It's interesting that you didn't go forward and you went back. So it almost feels that there's some unfinished business with,
Oh yeah.
whatever's going on in the main space, and like some clearing and things of that nature. And just, yeah. But I feel like it kind of makes sense just being in this in between. So it could represent being in this transitional space in your life. And then
Mm-hmm.
the people around you are very transient as well. Like they're going through their own experience, but even their place and their
Yeah.
role in your life is going through some sort of change as well with you. And like
Yep.
you're the center, you're kind of like the stabilizer in like all the spaces essentially. So
I can,
that makes
oh yeah, no, that completely makes sense. And even like with going through the portal and kind of discovering how like much mess there is, it almost was like you need to
sense. Hmm.
cleanse this area before you can go further.
Yeah, that's really interesting. How did you feel, just like like in the dream and like waking up, like emotionally? Like how did you feel? Was it like a dream you woke up and you're like, oh my gosh, that was so cool, and like really excited? Or were you like, was it like an anxious kind of experience? How are you feeling?
I was uncomfortable and anxious a little bit in the dreams. I've gotten to a point where my emotions are very neutral during the dreams, and I almost have like a hint of the emotional experience, so it doesn't
Hmm.
like crash the dream. But when I woke up, I was more so just curious. Like
Hmm.
it was excitement because like it was so interesting. Like I don't have a whole lot of dreams
Yeah.
where things are so juxtaposed. Like it feels like you take three dreams, smush them together, and then like a Rubik's Cube, mix them all up.
Yeah, see
Like
what you get.
that was something that was super
Yeah.
interesting. And then just like wanting to know what was further down that path.
Yeah. Wow, that was really cool. Thanks for sharing
Thank
that.
you.
Oh my gosh, I
Thank
can't
you.
believe you held on to that. I'm happy that you
I look,
did. But
it's when my it was definitely interesting. It almost to me felt like there's a really big reason why I hold on to very specific dreams like that it's so intensely. And I feel like even if I'm not interpreting it in my dream journal, I'm interpreting it in my head
yeah.
and then
Yeah.
putting together an action plan for my waking
Hmm.
life based on
Yeah.
the messages and information that it was given to me through my dream.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say, going back and rereading a lot of the dreams, I didn't read all of them, but I was like kind of skimming through, breezing through them. I was really actually um just, I guess fascinated is that not the right word, but I was really intrigued how doorways definitely, like when I knew to look for these particular symbols, I definitely saw doorways a lot.
Hmm.
And like I didn't even mention, I forgot to mention another example was one of the recent dreams I shared where I walked out of, like, I decided to go on a walk because my daughter was like napping, and I opened the door, and it wasn't a very clear like I'm in another realm until I started walking out, and I realized, like, looking at the sky, looking at the mountains in the background, and just like the energy and the feeling of it was like it felt like I was somewhere else. Like
Oh yeah.
I was in that place. Oh, and I didn't even mention the other dream that I shared too with the what I consider it to be like the new earth energy. Using those sacred shapes like that. Yeah, I guess that's how we decided on this topic was like having that pop up in my dream and guided in the dream guided that, hey, this is a portal, to this particular place. I mean, you can use that sacred shape for any type of travel. But specifically they were saying, hey, if you have the intention, you want to go visit this realm, this new earth perspective, like meditate on this basically. And I felt that shift in the dream. So it's really interesting when you go back and look through your dreams, when you start to see the similarities, even if you don't have time to interpret it, just going back and reading, say maybe
Hmm.
for a specific intention, or asking for, just wanting to see what similarities stand out. Like there's so much you can get. So
Absolutely.
it's so much depth to it.
There is so much depth to it, and that's what makes it so interesting and fun.
Yeah, I love it. We were talking about dream interpretation. We'll have to do another live chat on that soon too, because it's like you were saying, Alexis, you interpret kind of like on the fly or just like in motion with your
Hmm.
life, and you kind of, energetically work with it, and to sit and do the whole like journaling with it. It's a whole experience. It's a
Yes,
whole
it's a whole
commitment.
other animal for
And
sure.
there's so much, even like looking at the moon phases in
Yeah.
connection with your moon and just like other things going on in your life. Like one of the things I noticed when I started dream journaling consistently, I was writing, which was very helpful, but I would start with, how I felt at the moment, like what's coming up at the time before, either before or after my dream. I definitely
Hmm.
started with like my emotions and the setting of the dream. Like I would just like
Hmm.
location this, emotions this, overall vibe or genre of the dream. I would also note that too. And that, like, going back and reflecting, it helps so much. I was like, it kind of took
It
me back
does.
to that time. So it's almost like you travel back to when you had that dream and you're like, oh, I remember when that was going on
Yeah,
and what was coming up. And so it's really interesting.
absolutely. Absolutely. And there's so much value to writing down your dream and then interpreting it. And I don't take advantage of that as often
Yeah.
as I should. And that's something that I'm going to goal set um, because it needs to happen. It's vital. Like I
Yeah.
know I'm
No, it's
progressing
so
and learning,
much.
but
Yeah.
you could learn so much more.
Yeah, there's so much there with the interpretation and just having the time. You don't have to do all the dreams, you can pick a
No,
dream, and yeah, like,
start with
because if
one.
especially if you really want to go deep with it, there's so much.
Yeah.
And I am going to share too, I don't talk about this often, but on my website I also have an e-guide, or I guess you could say an ebook of dream interpretation, as well as the symbolism in astrology and how to set up your bedtime ritual. So it's
Hmm.
an entire dream guide that I basically put together as my dream notes from the first dream circle I did in the fall of 2023. So that's
Hmm.
there. And Alexis and I are putting together our notes for lucid dreaming that we have created for the current circle that we're facilitating. And so we'll have that, available hopefully this summer. And so stay
Hmm.
tuned for that. But if you want my dream notes and dream interpretation and the astrology with dreams, you can check that out on my website, uraniauniverse.com. That will be available. And yeah, so let me check in with the chat here just to see because I'm starting to like lose steam here.
Oh God,
I'm
same.
like, oh, I'm tired. All right, so let's see. Jason Jim having a conversation. Oh, I know Jace said, this is to you, Alexis. Let me know if you dream of a circular theater with a floating platform where the platform goes up and down in the center of the theater. I know that place. I've been there several times. So if you ever,
I have had a recent dream that was in a circular theater not that long ago, and the stage didn't float, but the theater was circular
yeah,
and tall.
interesting. Yeah.
I'll let you know though, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, definitely let us know. Okay, just swirling through. Level day. Jim says, thanks for sharing, Alexis. Big dream meeting at the theater sounds like not everyone was invited.
Hey, I mean, look, either that or the connection was bad.
And Jace is just talking about how he always has like some sort of um I guess music happening, or he was talking about a musician singing at one of the stages in his dreams and there was different levels. He said the musician ended up being Meatloaf, which is funny.
Ooh.
And then he had passed 6 months later.
I was gonna say
So
pre or
right,
post meatloaf.
right.
I say that with
Okay,
lightness.
cool.
No
Yeah,
offense,
so
me.
there's just some cool chats. Thank you guys for participating in the chat.
Yes, thank you so
So
much.
this has been great. I really enjoyed this. Do you have any last words or anything, Alexis, that you want to share before we log off? I think my tea is kicking in because I'm just like
Yeah.
zoning out.
I would just have to say, this is a good opportunity if you haven't already to take note of the dreams that you have from now on and, pay attention to if there are any different portals that show up that maybe you didn't even know were portals prior
Yeah.
to. I'm just learning. So like I have always lucid dreamed, but I only recently am able to break down like into verbal words what I'm doing. So I'm noticing my dream symbols more and my dream transportation and different things that pop up. And it as you dream, these things are highlighted more and it puts more of it just gives you more hints and ideas of what's going on and you can go deeper into it and understand more, take
Yeah.
advantage of the ability to document what you're dreaming, break it down.
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely check out this article because I like her breakdowns of everything because she even goes into interpreting the portals of your like interpreting your dreams essentially and just skimming over it some of the points that she made that's kind of like the standard for dream interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just see what one of these which one of these portals or maybe more than one happen often in your dreams and you can learn so much about that, especially looking at the comparison of the symbolism of these portals in your dreams. Like for me, I had no idea about the doors and that I
Yeah.
kind of want to reflect more on that. I like stairs. I remember Alexis, you had a dream. You had a couple dreams with stairs that you've shared.
Stairs are in my dream a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So really fascinating stuff.
And
Awesome.
phones,
Hmm?
like your phone screen. I shared a dream a while ago about like these people
Oh, right.
in the water and then it came like and then I was looking at my phone rather than being there and that yeah,
That was a
so there's
reflection. Yeah.
yeah.
That was like on Instagram. That's when we were doing the Instagram
Yeah,
lives.
yeah,
I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
that. That was a cool one. Awesome. Well, thank you, Alexis, for being here.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much for
Jace,
holding this
Jim.
space.
Thank you, everyone that's been watching and that watches the replay. Definitely share with us in the comments your dream portal if you experience any of those. If you have one that you are particularly connected to, we would love to hear about it. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel. We will be here every Wednesday night, 9 p.m., talking about dreams and the astral realm. So, good night, everyone. Have sweet
A good
dreams.
night. Sweet dreams.
All right, we're done.
Woo!